Hi everyone, welcome to Deep Ellum Art Company's ArtCo Afternoon Arts. Thank you for joining me. My name's Amber Crimmings. I'm the art director slash cat herder around here, and we are working on our art therapy and journal pieces today. I'm so excited to bring these to you, and as you can tell, Doobs is hanging out. He's the ArtCo original Deep Ellum kitty. He's the son of Clover, who actually kind of adopted us at Deep Ellum Art Company, and he was the last surviving kitten out of her litter before we got her fixed and taken care of. So today we're working on art journaling and therapy. This is where we actually work on our journal. Let me show you what we've got going on right here. Now remember, our art journals are ones where we can play around with some different techniques. You know, I collaged a bunch of little circular pieces of paper on this, as we also dealt with the things that we were trying to pull in and out. I love coffee, so we did a lot of really nice kind of, you know, just playing around with getting our details in drawing our coffees. I see we have Bill and Linda hanging out with us today. Happy you guys are hanging out. So we're playing around in our art journals. These journals are really good for us to play around with concepts, you know, where we're taking creativity and we're pulling it into our thinking processes in other parts of our lives. And so we're going to play around a bit with that today. Like last time I did one where I missed my colleagues and teaching's my jam and I love music. So I kind of just threw all that together in a thinking piece for me. And again, all these concepts are going to be different for you guys. So just because I'm working on one certainly doesn't mean that the one that you work on looks like mine. This is where we do, however, want to play around with some basic techniques and play around with mixed media. I think this is a really fun way to kind of, you know, get a couple different mediums in that we normally wouldn't. So I'm going to kind of work on this, and you're going to work on it too. We're going to kind of talk it through, and we're just going to play around with some basic concepts. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys, I'm messing around. I did my setup slightly different, so you'll have to bear with me. Here we go. Okay. That should work good enough. Look, you see Doobs is hanging out. We'll leave his little cat. He likes to watch and sleep in a way that he's hanging out with me. I do also have a nice little variety of pens and pencils right here. I think I'm going to start out with something pencil. And so today's kind of art journaling thing that we're messing around with is our sense of self and our sense of compassion. I think we can all agree that this is, man, this is a year where some compassion is needed. I will say, definitely. So I think that this is a good thing not only when it comes to compassion towards others, but more importantly, we're all going through a lot of variety of types of stresses and levels of stresses. And a lot of times as humans, especially in today's society, we kind of tie a lot of like business sense or what we do as a job and stature, we hold that very high. And so a lot of people are having a lot of struggle or they're falling down off of you know, they're losing their footing. And so this also messes with that sense of self-worth. And so I just wanted to focus a little kind of journal where we're thinking about ourselves and that we remember, I'm sorry Doobs, we remember to have compassion for ourselves in the storms. You know, we all try to weather them the best that we can, but we also want to try to, you know, be as nice to ourselves as we can while we're doing it. So I'm just going to kind of play with this. I had a really neat conversation with my 16-year-old daughter that kind of spurred me to play with this. I'm actually going to try to play around with a style of drawing a little bit that she tends to do. So I'm just going to take that inspiration for that, because, you know, we were having a discussion on how everybody, you know, seems like they know what they're doing and she was like, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. That kind of makes me feel like maybe I'm not as successful or whatever as others. And, you know, that's not the case. And I see a lot of people going through a lot of rough times mentally because of everything that's going on. And so we want to, you know, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and we're not wrapping up too much self-worth into all of the things, because it makes it harder for us to get back on our feet when we don't believe our feet are worthy of getting back up. So I'm just going in and I'm kind of just creating this wide eye set. I'm just going to play around with, I don't know, just a different kind of eye set than what I'm just playing around with, like more cartoon kind of looks. And I'm using a pencil here because I'm just playing around again with this sense of self, right? And so as I'm thinking about my daughter, you know, she's an artist as well. And so I want to make sure that I'm getting all these things in. I think I'm going to give her a teeny tiny nose down here. And so noses, what I do is I just do a little set of 3 circles. I'll pop you down so you can see that better. And so I'm just doing a real fun play on like a cartoony kind of style face here, just for the sense of self. Because again, I like to practice different things. We've already done a bunch of stuff that's super realistic, so I just want to make sure oh, I didn't want that to go that far. So I want to make sure that I've got a maybe I want to pull that chin down a little bit further, which is fine. You know, I'm just playing around. There we go. So I'm just playing around with all of my shapes here, making sure I'm not making her too skinny. And again, I'm just playing with this idea of self, you know, and I'm just using that as a way to kind of play around. So I'm just trying to get some basic kind of hair shapes in. You see how I've got a little bit of a nice little soft kind of thing going on here. And so I'm just going to create some little, you know, we'll make it, we've got a little bit of braid going on here. So I'm just going to kind of simulate these little braid kind of shapes that might take place here. I'm going to give her a nice long slender neck. And just a little hint of a shoulder over here. We'll have that hair kind of. And so we're just playing around with all these neat little kind of shapes. And so I'm just thinking about ourselves and compassion and how we should work on all that. I've got a nice little kind of beginning here. And so this is a really nice way. Ooh, I've got too much light on this, don't I? Here, what about, I think it's how I had this set up. it worked just fine, and then all of a sudden you couldn't see it. Ah, there. Okay, so I'm going to get some paint, and I'm going to play around with getting some stuff put in here. And I'm just going to use some acrylic, but I'm really just going to kind of use it as a bit of watercolor. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to get that done. We'll get her over here. I'm just using my cheap little paint pots, and I'm just going to paint on top of where my pencil is, because this is just a sketch. Ooh, that might have been a lot of paint. I'm just going to take this, and we're just going to add some little pops of color in here. Remember, I'm working on watercolor paper. And I just want to get some pops. The reason why I'm using acrylic paint is because with this, I can actually go in and do some different layers, and then it won't, what do you call it? It won't pick the color back up, which I like. And so I'm just kind of getting this faded out. I'm going to get a little bit more paint up in here. Want that to be ooh, I don't want it to be that intense. That was a lot of paint. But we are in the shadow zone over here, so I want to make sure that I'm giving that the proper attention. I'm going to darken it through here as well. And so I'm just playing around with the hair, getting a base color in. I am going to get some color in my background, so I want to play around with those. I am going to do a nice contrasty color. We're just going to play with getting a nice kind of abstract look for the background. I do want a bit of yellow for her shirt, so I'm going to make sure I go in. And so this one I'm just kind of layering everything at once, because I'm going to go back over it with all my other kind of medium choices and color choices here. But I just want to go in and make sure, maybe I'll backwash this with some yellow. It'll mix with the pink and create a nice kind of beachy color. That'll be a nice callback. Looking really rough right now. I know, we're like awkward teenagers. It's okay. We'll get past the rough part, I promise. Right now I'm going to get some contrasting color. On the outside of her. And so I can hold her at an angle as well. On a little towel. We'll get some neat little drip effects here. And I like to just take it and tap it a couple times. That gets a good core amount of the water out. And since I have the towel at the bottom, it kind of holds on to that for me. I kind of like how that makes that background look over there. So I'm going to go over here, and we're not going to fully replicate it because we don't want it to go on the top of our hair. But since we have so much going on the other side, our brain goes in and fills this out. Okay, so we've got a lot of good base stuff going on with this. Again, super, super, super rough. I know. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. Okay, I gotta get some color on her face. So I'm gonna go in and get her face kind of painted with a peach color here. I just want to get a good base color on this whole thing. I'm going to still be able to see my pencil through this. But I want to get my color down, and then I'm going to need to start working on all the rest of her color variations. For instance, the neck's going to be one of the first ones that I'm going to want to go in here and make some different changes. So I'm just going in with my brush. I'm using some different colors in order to go, oh, my head's totally covering that up. So that I can go in and get all of my little nuances blended together so I can create this nice little realistic, semi-realistic kind of skin color here. And then I'm going to want to give it a little bit of luminosity. So I am going to go in, add a little bit of my whiteness through here. That way I can get that nice kind of luminousness obtained. I'm going to go through here, get some more of those shadows painted in. You see, as I get my second section in here, how this kind of works for creating shadowing, making our colors a little bit more solidified. So I'm going to want to go in with a darker brown so that I can start pulling some of that shadowing in. And you see how that starts to create a lot of our facial. And because I'm just using more of a watered down kind of acrylic, this allows me to kind of blend a little bit more. My paint's wet, remember, which also lets me blend into my lighter areas. And so I'm just going in, messing with my brown, getting my darker areas put in. So I'm just practicing all of my blending here. Making sure I get all these guys kind of fit in. Again, we're still at the super awkward kind of teenage phase. Yeah? So I'm going through, Continuing to get all my colors kind of blended in. Making sure we have soft changes through here. I'm going to let this dry for a half second. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll go in while it's still kind of wet. I do want to make sure I get some nice kind of white sunk in here. I'm going to get one more little bit of white on this cheek here. I want to get a little base of blue in here, but like a lighter blue. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the background some more. See guys how I'm kind of bouncing around? I'm thinking about myself this whole time. That self of compassion. That gives us a nice kind of cleaner, smoother background. And I'm going to hit that again on the other side. Give it a nice kind of blue wash on top of what we already did. Being able to wash on top of colors helps us kind of smooth out, but still have some of those color undulations, but it gives us a real nice kind of base to kind of play around with things. And then I can always, you know, play around with the whole making a mess with some stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go back to playing with my hair. I want to richen this up as well. And so I'm continuing to just kind of work on my little pieces here. Richening up. All of our colors. You know, I'm going to work as smart as I can and try to get my colors to blend nicely. I am going to get some purple though. I want to darken some of these up now while I've got some of my other colors kind of still wet, so that I can pull these in and start giving some different kind of looks to it here. So I'm just barely kind of touching my brush in a purple. I'm using this to kind of create a nice kind of shaded wash back here in the back. So we're just going to kind of leave it like that. I'm going to go over this in pen as well. So we are going to play with this in a couple different ways. I see Bill says, the one reason we love art class, we escape from the world, so glad we can do this. Oh, that makes me very happy as well. I like being able to have a bit of escape too. And plus, you know, it's super helpful to be able to kind of commune with others in our community. Perhaps we can't break bread together as we wish we could, but we can create together, for sure. And so you see how I'm taking this and I'm continuing to refine and add details. You know, I'm kind of building. I've been building from all angles. The color changes, etc. Okay, so I think that's fairly good for that part. I need to add some lip colors. She's got to have some lips, and we need some eye color. I'm going to give her some blue eyes. I'm going to end up going back over these. So I'm just going to make these blue for now. I'll stick with that, and I'll get a nice little red color in for the lips. I'm going to leave a nice white spot on there because I know a lot of the lips we're going to leave a highlight. I'm using a much bigger brush than I should, but that's alright. Okay, cool. So I've got like the kind of beginnings of my thing. I got my pencil drawing in, and then I got my acrylics on top of it. So now I might play with, I always like to play with ink on top of things, and maybe I'll still paint. I might still paint, y'all. Like, I can change my mind a bunch of times, which is fun, because as an artist, you know, you might decide to do more or less, etc. But this is what we're going to play around with right now. You can tell I've bored the cat to death. But we've got a really nice halfway through. We've got a nice kind of pseudo painting that we've started working on. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to use some, ooh, that one's really fat. I don't want to use that one. This is 0.2. 0.2 is pretty small. 0.5 is fat. Oh, I've got a 0.05. Let's start with that one. Here's my smallest one, probably. And then I've got a 0.1 and a 0.2. These are waterproof pigment liners. I bought some online. I've got some other brands, different brands in here. But they're super handy. I like playing around with them. And I like what they offer me. As far as, oh, I can't play with that. And so that we can, you know, get more details in. I'm going to hit more white paint on this too, actually. I don't think I'm going to stick with just all of my dark paint. So I'm just going to go in. My paper's dry enough, but almost not dry enough, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to go in and just start getting some of my details in. Bill says, we always love to watch you create something beautiful out of nothing. Now question is, what does your daughter think of it? Oh, she loves, she's an artist herself. She uses the studio quite a bit here at the house. So I'm going to go in. And I'm just going to get all this stuff outlined. Now I'm going to go back with some of my thicker liners, but I just kind of want to get the beginnings. Oh, I don't know what I just did, but that stopped working. I must have hit a wet area. Alright. And so I'm just going in and working on my eye shapes. I think I'm going to use a thicker one for this one. And so we're just kind of playing around with a bunch of different kind of eye shapes and getting all this stuff kind of seated in. My eyes are still kind of wet. Well, they're not too terrible. And so I'm going in and I'm starting to add the detail in my eyes. And so again, this is a really fun way to kind of start playing around with some different kind of sensibilities and the way that you kind of draw things. I don't know why. Usually this doesn't have any words in my music. My music's doing weird things. And so again, continuing to working on getting all of our guys kind of taken care of. And then we'll end up getting more paint, etc. into these. But again, we're trying to work on getting all of our images kind of in here. And you see, even with the eyes and stuff starting to come together, it automatically starts giving us some really nice kind of finishes, and it starts really tying all of this stuff together. And so again, we're just kind of playing around. I want to get my fatter pens, because remember, we want to have a variety. I don't want the big brush though. I have a nice F. The F is real fat. I want to have a nice F up here with the, I don't think the hair is quite, you know what, never mind, we're not going to do that. I'm not ready for the F. Well, I think we'll do a 0.5. Because now we're doing the shirt. I'm going to work on the shirt a little bit. My hair's too wet, so I don't really want to mess with any more around here, but I do need to get my shirt done. So I'm going to get that done with my nice big fat pen here. And I might want to make it a little extra big. And so I'm just going in and strengthening my lines, solidifying it, make sure it's nice and thick. And I'm thinking about self and being compassionate, right? Like sitting in compassion with oneself. Heck, I think I'll turn this into a cute little cardigan. Maybe we'll put some buttons on it. Alright, we got some cool stuff right there. I'm hoping that my hair will get dry pretty soon. I think this is dry enough that I can go in and I can start getting some of my hair details in. Again, this is going to really solidify things a lot for me and kind of get some nice finishing touches on our hair. And so I'm just going in using my really thick guy to get just a couple of my lines in. That way I can get some definition in for my hair. You can see I'm getting all this stuff kind of colored in. Pull some of that stuff past, but I'll use my thinner pens to get a lot of my details in my hair in. Fun stuff. You see how just having a little bit of nice, just clean line work, how much this brings the hair together. Oops, my pen went dead. It's because my hair's not totally dry, so.
Flashes are inside here. You know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true.
So we can go back and we can paint over some of this, because you see I probably need more shading through here as I'm working on this. I'm seeing that come as an issue. I'm going to get the rest of her face nice and taken care of. Oh, she's got a chin now, you guys. And I'm just getting the outside edges of her hair taken care of. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty fun actually. She's coming together pretty nice. I like this. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to get the outside line for the rest of the hair here. Remember, we're thinking about ourselves or others and compassion. That's why I wanted to give her kind of like this loving but neutral kind of look on her face. You know, this kind of open, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Right? So I just wanted to kind of have this look of somebody that was approachable. And maybe that's different for everybody. And so I'm just going in. Putting some kind of different shapes in her hair. That way I can show these different bundles. So I've got some really cool kind of bundles of hair here. This just really makes for some fun imagery and playing around with all of our, kind of shapes, etc. So I'm going to go in because, since my focus on this, C-O-M-P-A-S-S-I-O-N. Ooh, I'm going to have to write this small. C-O-M-P-A-S-S-I-O-N. Alright, so I'm just kind of planning out. I'm just gonna write it this way. Compassion. I think that's a nice little, or should I do it down this way? We'll do it this way. And then I'll just fit the letters in the space. I think that'll be fun. So I just got to make sure I can fit them in. So C-O-M-P-A-S-S-I-O-N. So I've got 10 letters. So I got to fit 5 letters here. C-O-M-P-A. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and set the A. So I'm just filling in my words here. I'm just doing simple block letters. I think that's fun and a simple, easy way to kind of fill out because we just want to work on our nice little piece. Just really nice and simple. Yeah, the green eyes, Bill, I like those. They kind of pull in and play around. I like how that is a nice little kind of tick. I also just kind of want to, I don't know, I want to put something else in here. I want to put a like a plant kind of shape. I don't know, just playing around. Maybe I'll throw some, like, I don't know, water or color or something on there. Alright, I'm going to play around with, I need some more white, actually. I don't know what this guy is. Oh, that guy's a blender, I don't know him. I am going to try to get some more white on here, though, but I think my white in there is mostly dried up, so I'm going to... I kind of just mix and refill these pots sometimes. Because, man, having a bunch of mixed colors is handy when I'm having to teach really quick 1-hour classes with you guys. It's super helpful. I'm going to go in and just create some really nice little kind of highlights in here. Or at least I hope I'm going to create some nice highlights in here. I'm going to go in. This guy's really ratty, though. I don't like this paintbrush. Let me find a different one. That one made me scared because I need some teeny tiny details. So I'm going to use a teeny tiny brush to make those teeny tiny details. Ooh, I don't really like that one either. What happened to my... I had one that was my favorite and now, oh, here it is. Found it. I found it. This guy's my favorite. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm just going to create some little highlights here. Again, I want to make sure that my paint's nice and thick, but also that it's flowing off my brush nicely. And I'm just going to go in and get like just a couple key kind of spots painted for kind of, you know, just highlights and details that I want to make sure that kind of showcase right in there. I didn't get much shading in my nose, so I do need to make sure that I go back and do that. I want to get some shading around her lips just a little bit. You know, just some strategic kind of highlight shading here and there. I want to get some on her eyelids since those capture a good amount of light. Get some nice little extras there. I can always hit back on these after. With my ink again, no worries. So we're just kind of playing around, getting our white highlights in here. Maybe getting some in the hair areas. We're just going to let that kind of sit like that. I'll play around in this other section over here. And I'm just kind of laying my acrylic paint down. I'm just kind of letting it be, kind of like Compassion does. We just kind of lay it down, and then we can let it be. I'm going to get little dots on my buttons. I can always go back over these with my ink again. I probably will, because I like those, but I also want to make sure that I've got some fun lighter white in there. Perhaps I should have painted these before I did all that. That's fine. It works. So I'm just going in and just filling all my stuff. I think about growth when I paint that little plant there. I think I'm going to get a nice, maybe we'll do a green hair tie to match the eyes. I might even do some green in the eyes to kind of pull another brighter version in there. Ooh, I'm going to need white in there too anyway. I forgot about that. Okay, we need the highlights in the eyes. So we're going to go in and make sure that we get those in. I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye. And the highlights really are what can pull those eyes together and kind of create it as this alive piece. And so this is a really fun way for us to play around, and even though we might not feel compassionate or beautiful towards ourselves or others, having a nice way to kind of put down how we want to feel about ourselves and others, though, is something that can be a really good step forward. And this is a really, really fun way to kind of explore and go through that process. Bill says your lesson on having to wait through the awkward teenage phase is not lost on us. Keep working and patient pays off. Don't stop too soon or you will miss the beautiful ending. Thanks as always. Yes, it's very true. I show that awkward teenage phase because too many of us feel that we can't do anything till the stars are aligned and we are perfect and everything has been laid in place and otherwise is failure, and that is not the truth. For us to have compassion with ourselves is to be okay with ourselves when we're our awkward cat lady self, or when we're awkward teenagers, or say we're awkward adults because the entire scape of our society is topsy-turvy with new mountains and valleys being formed. So make sure that you know, along with everybody else, that compassion is the word of the day. It's how we're going to help each other. It's how we'll help ourselves. Because nothing is sure, but what is sure is that at the very least, inside of our brains or inside of our homes, we have the power to control that, and we have the power to control the amount of compassion and love that's there. Make sure you always create safe spaces of love for yourself in your brain and for others in you and around your home, life, all that jazz. Yeah, so this is a fun little art therapy project we played around with using acrylic a bit like watercolor. This is a new, not a new way, obviously people have done it for a really long time, but we usually do watercolor or acrylic, so this was a nice way to use acrylic in a different way and also play around with getting things like our beautiful little highlights and that face going on. So this is just a really fun way to play around with drawing, compassion, thinking about ourselves, thinking about others around us. We do these ArtCo afternoon classes to help community because we very much know community is where power and strength are. And now more than ever is the time to help assist local businesses that you love and that give back to the community if those are businesses that you want to see on the other side of things. You know, things are getting really rough and really dire for a lot of spots, and we're certainly not disincluded from that group. So please make sure that you're hearing the calls and you're seeing the different ways that spots like us are working so hard to bring so much online for all of you. Please make sure that you understand that we're also businesses and we have to keep our doors open. And in order to do that, we must have revenue that comes in, which right now is few and far between due to the scape of things. So we're trying to pivot as much as we can and provide all these services in ways online and figure out new ways to have those monetized. One of the really important ways that we can do that is through our YouTube audience and followers. If you have not already followed, subscribed, shared out our channel to all your friends and begged and pleaded for them to follow us, please do that. We're almost at the number where we can start monetizing. This could be a really important step for us. So anything that you can do in order to help us reach that goal as quickly as possible will be something that would be deeply grateful. Plus, it would help us get a leg up on ways to continue to create new avenues of revenue so that we can survive. Because we very much want to, but we can't make that magically happen on our own. We certainly need our community to continue to tune in, continue to support, and continue to put money towards the musicians and artists that they already love, and that certainly add a lot of enrichment to everyone's lives. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Tuesday is one of my favorite days where we get to nerdily play around with art and how we're feeling. I know feelings gross, but they're good for us, and it's important that we think less about feelings being gross and that we pay attention to them a bit more, because I know these days it's getting harder and harder for a lot of people as time moves forward. So it's really important that we do these self-care things, and as silly as it may sound, just sitting down and getting connected with how you feel and drawing is a really great way to do that. Alright, tomorrow's Wacky Wednesday. We'll be playing around with a fun project. Make sure you're tuning in at 3 p.m. Doobs will be hanging out too. I don't know if he's going to actually participate, but maybe we'll do some fun stuff. Remember, you guys, if you have any pieces of work, mediums, or techniques that you would like to learn, make sure you drop those in the comments. Let us know, and we'll add those to our roster of classes. We do work in order to pull creativity into your home, so take a look at our schedule. I believe that image is on our event page for this. And you can take a look at every day of the week. We offer something underneath a different art theme. Thursdays are for our younger ArtCo crowd, where we do more elementary style projects. And then Saturdays, we do our long-term projects. So make sure you're checking in with me every day of the week at 3 and on Saturdays at 4. Until then, you guys have a wonderful